Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night wherever you are watching around the world. This is the Hoof GP and today we are trimming beef cows or suckler cows in a very messy field, and I've actually just finished and that is why I am so filthy. We're on our way to get washed up, but here for you at home is how our day went. You're joining us today as we head eastwards through the South Scottish countryside to our destination today, which, believe it or not, is a field in the middle of nowhere. Today we're trimming beef cows, otherwise known as sucklers, and I'm going to attempt to answer the question that a lot of you guys leave in my comment section. What happens to cows' feet when they're left to their own devices in the wild? The cows we'll be seeing today live as close a life to their wild counterparts as any domesticated animal can these days, and you'll see that these cows' feet are really gnarly and overgrown, but don't necessarily have all that many problems. Two cows here. Come on! There's a whole lot of cows. So this first foot that we're going to take a look at clearly isn't the very first foot I've trimmed today. The majority of these cows have good, well looked after feet, but some of them become gnarly and overgrown because they have small problems and there is virtually no wear on the land on which they live. As you'll see as this trim progresses, there actually isn't that major a problem and it will be fixed with one simple trim. It's just the fact that there's no wear at all that these feet become so gnarly.
Hey, now look into my eyes, you can use them as a mirror. You're my ticket to paradise.
Many people watching this will be thinking, oh my word, all of that muck is so dirty. And to a degree, you're right. But when bacteria is concerned, muck isn't actually all that dirty. Slurry, however, is. But this here is muck, and that is basically sodden or wet soil. And the only problems this will cause the cow is ingress into cracks that already exist, which will make those problems worse. They will not cause bacterial infections. Now that's more than a little difference. This next foot is a classic example of these cows and cows in the wild. You'll see as this trim progresses that actually there is not a great deal of problems caused by that outside claw being so overgrown. The outside claw is only overgrown like that because there is virtually no wear whatsoever on this ground. So cows in the wild, or cows in years gone by that used to live on the natural land, would suffer problems like this. Because the land they're living on is nice and soft, a bit like easy fix rubber, basically it provides a kind of suspension, and although that outer claw is overgrown, there is virtually no signs of bruising. However, if we were to put an animal like this, or a dairy cow, into a concrete environment, this would be a very serious issue. And yes, I can hear you thinking it, that purpley black part on her foot is not bruising, it's pigmentation. There's maybe not as big a difference with this trim as there was with the last, but she's certainly going to be more comfortable. Slight issue here. You're not supposed to be there. Come on. is he busy? It is hot, hot, hot here. Oh, it is hot, hot, hot here. Quite nice working out here. So these are beef cows, suckler cows, non-milking cows. And they are much, much wilder and more rowdy to work with because they're still running with their calves, and they're really, really sort of, they have a strong mothering instinct, let's put it that way. So right now, we're separating them from the calves, put them in the crush so that we can trim them up. These cows live on really, really soft ground, so their feet don't wear down at all. This is why we're here, doing what we're doing. I'm glad I'm not getting them all in. This is a pretty obvious problem, but I thought it'd be good to point out that when cows have short, stubby, high at the heel feet, that means there's a problem in her heel area because she's not wearing out the heel of her foot because she's trying to avoid that area. And vice versa, when the cows have long, pointed and overgrown feet, usually there's a problem with the toe because she's keeping the toe up off the ground and therefore not wearing out that part of the hoof. The heel of this cow's foot is affected by digital dermatitis, which can also be called mortal arrow or hairy heel wart. And usually if this was a cow housed inside, we would wrap it with embryonics paste. We're not going to do that to this cow because she is outside in the nice, clean and fresh air. And air, or rather oxygen, actually kills dermatitis, so wrapping it could have an adverse effect. We also need to think of the cow and the farmer in cases like this. This cow has her calf running with her and she has a very, very strong maternal instinct. So separating her from the calf and the dangers that come into play with the farmer having to remove the wrap means it's not really a viable option. And instead we're going to clean and dry the area and treat it with some topical antibiotics provided to us by the farmer. We had a slight issue. They didn't have a plug that fitted the generator, and Schwavik fixed it. Didn't you, Schwavik? This looks safe. Schwavik's from Russia.
Do you want some shop?
He's Polish. You better hope there's no residual power.
Try with your tongue.
Because we're in the middle of a field, we needed to use a generator and we didn't have a tail plug for my crush to fit into. So Schwavik pulled the generator apart and just wired it straight into the main.
Somebody who wasn't prepared to work.
Not me! It's not my fault. All's well that ends well.
Can't keep his mind on nothing else.
You know that's hard, man. These farmers are fantastic people. They really, really do look after their cows. We go through every animal in this farm 2 to 3 times a year to make sure there's no overgrowth, none of the animals are uncomfortable, and none of them are in need of attention. So they are doing everything they can to make sure their cows are in the best possible shape. As always guys, thank you very, very much for watching, and if you haven't already smashed the subscribe button, then really do me a favour and do it right now. Cheers guys, I'll catch you later. Bye!